Good afternoon. Welcome everybody to the group chat, part of the two-way family, where our ethos is peace, love, and understanding. And we would, of course, encourage you to manifest that vibe as you participate in the conversation, either in the chat. We encourage you to be active in the chat. We like reading it. We like hearing your comments. And we, of course, want you, our community members, to participate in the discussion we're having here by raising your hand, and I'll call on you to get your thoughts on what's going on. You can discuss whatever we're talking about or anything else that's on your mind. What we are going to be talking about today, I'm really excited to get to, but first I want to introduce the participants in this conversation, mostly the same as usual, but Dan is out this week, so we are joined by my friend Michael LaRosa, who's a former special assistant to President Biden and currently a partner at a bipartisan government affairs firm. I'm really going to be interested to get his take right off the bat on our subject for the day. And of course, as always, the lovely Nina Turner and the lovely Emma Jo Morris are with us, and I'm Robby Soave. Okay, let's get right to it. The government remains shut down. There have been, let's see, the No Kings protests happening in various cities throughout the country. But the thing that most of the Democrats I know have been focused on for the last several days this week has been the White House renovations, the partial demolition or total demolition of the East Wing of the White House, which everyone from Hillary Clinton to Elizabeth Warren to every single cable news host has been worked up about it. Maybe we can put some of those elements on the screen right now if we have them to display. It was a really there's the actual footage of the demolition taking place, and then the number of tweets I have seen from people raging about this. Now, Michael, you actually worked in the White House. I think you specifically worked in the East Wing. You had a take on this, was describing it as a little bit of fake outrage. Welcome to the show, and why don't you elaborate on where your thinking is here?
Sure. Well, thanks for having me. It's great to join you guys. Yeah, so I worked in the East Wing for about 2 years. My office is no longer
Just
there.
describing it.
What'd you say?
Go ahead. Go ahead.
No. Okay. I posted some pictures on my Twitter handle from behind the scenes inside the East Wing a little bit ago. If anybody wants to take a look. But So I'm sentimental about it, obviously. I could see the insides of the East Wing and the gutting, and it was sad, and I'm sure sad and heartbroken that it's being gutted. At the same time, it's a little strange that everybody's so fixated on it because so many presidents have made modernizations and improvements and expansions and changed the facade of the White House before, and I guess I'm sentimental to a point. I just think there's just other things going on in the world that Democrats especially should be consumed by than the East Wing, which rarely gets any attention.
Nina, weigh in for me. Is this the right thing for Democrats to be outraged about? I see you rolling your eyes a little bit. Hit me with some truth.
Hey, Robby, you starting to know me too well. I'm gonna have to switch it up a little bit. It's really much to do about nothing. I mean, I think I'm more concerned about what the Historic Trust has to say in terms of the historic nature of the building than these Democrats who are just crying. They need to find some real issues. I mean, to one point that Michael made, there are more pressing issues to be concerned about, to show outrage about. But what is happening to the East Wing is not one of them. Definitely, you can make your opinion known, but the down the sword over the East Wing is ridiculous to me. And it shows that the Democrats just feel like they don't have enough to do. I mean, I would rather see them talk about the SNAP benefits that are being cut, talk about the doubling of healthcare costs for people on the exchange, that kind of stuff, Robby. But to waste time on the East Wing, where most Americans have never seen the East Wing, will never see the East Wing. Am I right about that, Michael? Have never heard
Absolutely.
of the East Wing. All we know is about the West Wing.
I
I
can
mean,
abs
come
that's
on.
That's absolutely true. I had not been there since first grade until inauguration day when we kind of just dropped off and left to our own devices after the Bidens walked down Pennsylvania Avenue. I had to ask Secret Service agents where to find the East Wing and where to find like where I would ultimately squat would become the office next to Jill's, but the facing the South Lawn. And it was really pretty, but it, I had never been to the second floor or, it housed there's a bunker below the East Wing. It houses the social office, the military office, or like the White House military office that helps plan all the trips on military planes. The calligrapher's office is there, the White House visitor's office, and the Office of Legislative Affairs is on the first floor.
The
Um,
calligrapher is important, Michael. Now that I draw the line right there.
No disrespect to the calligrapher, but it's
no,
like
there's several, but
it's
yes,
like
yeah.
Emma Joe, I know, and I'm sure you know too, that the White House has been renovated before. Like the entire building was destroyed, the inside of it during the Truman administration because it had to be rebuilt from the ground up, and it was refurbished. And like if Trump was just tearing down a really historic thing and replacing it with nothing, I too would be upset. But that's not what's happening at all.
Well, that's it. It's like I saw someone sort of try half-heartedly to make a comparison to, well, how did you feel when they were ripping down statues? And it's like, no, like that isn't the right comparison because it's not like we're demolishing the White House for it to be erased from memory and sight. We're
Right.
just he's renovating it. And honestly, first of all, like it's a good idea because they constantly have to be putting up these tents for guests, which is not I don't think appropriate. Like it's the White House, like we don't have a room to host. And then I've seen people talking about the size, but I think that that's interesting, an interesting observation because I was actually just at Mar-a-Lago. I literally got off the flight, which is why I look like I'm wearing a sweatshirt because I am off of an airplane. I just got back from Mar-a-Lago. So I got to see the side of Trump that's like in the hospitality industry. And it's super grand and interesting and beautiful. And you can see that every detail was thought of and that he takes hosting extremely seriously. He puts an extreme amount of pride in that, in the aesthetic, in the feeling, in the feeling that the guest has. You can see that that's considered. And like little things like the grass looked like AstroTurf, but it was real live grass. But you wouldn't know unless you bent down and touched it, which I did. It's just little things that are perfect. And I think that it's his taste that's going into this as well, and that passion is going into this as well. So I agree with Nina. I do think that the historical panel or whoever makes sure that everything is kind of like up to code is important. But at the same time, I'm actually like, I don't think that this is negative. I think that the people trying to make it negative are really reaching. And again, I agree with Nina that, I mean, there are not more houses that are more affordable in the amount of time it's taken to talk about this. So why don't we shift gears?
Yeah,
And you know what? And if the Democrats are so upset, they better not use the East Wing. Okay, I better not see none of y'all
No.
up
Don't
in
you dare
the
go to
new
a party.
renovated East Wing.
Don't you dare go to a party. You can't have any champagne in the new ballroom.
yeah, they better performatively oppose it. I mean, I usually can at least see a kernel of why Democrats are mad or something, or I just share their concern because I don't like everything Trump does either. This one, I was really like stumped when I kept seeing more tweets about it. I was like, oh my God, this is a thing. I can't.
It's also like leading cable news or some
Yes.
cable news stations. It's also like it's an extraordinary event according to like some in cable and mainstream media. Like I follow a lot of the White House press corps. They're just still talking about it in the briefing today. I don't know if there's that much more to add, but
Yeah.
Emma made a really good point. Like we hosted the Macrons who live in the Elysee Palace on the grass on the South Lawn. Like women had to be shuttled, or people had to be shuttled to the tent from from the house itself. There are porter potties out. We ran out of glassware. Like that did happen. I mean, this isn't Trump's not wrong that we really can't accommodate a big ballroom. And I don't know if I can't tell if the Democrats are mad about him doing an end run like around like, you know how Democrats are. We love process. We love being the hall monitors and the HR party.
Thank you, Mom.
Yeah,
It's
like
over. Everybody go home.
I can't tell what they're mad about more, like the fact that he's physically changing it, which Harry Truman did and Roosevelt did. He added the second floor to the West Wing. Truman added that balcony to the south lawn, to the south portico, and paid for it himself, actually, out of the family fund, which because Congress denied him the funds to do it, so he paid for it himself. So much for being, King Truman.
Well, they're mad. I mean, they're mad because they just want to be mad.
Yeah,
Or they can
Yeah,
find
so true,
something.
that's it.
There's so much to be mad with the president over. This is not.
but it's
This is
swinging at
not one
every
of them.
pitch, you know?
I'm
Yeah.
tired of them playing games.
All
But
right, well,
Michael's point about just one more thing, Robbie, about
go ahead.
how the press is nauseating. I mean, I muted my television because I didn't want to hear one more question going to the press secretary who was squirming the whole time about this daggone East Wing. And Emma Joe made a beautiful point. I mean, this is a skill set that President Donald J. Trump does have that I could get with. I just wish he would use a little more of that on helping change material conditions. But I would put that in the parking lot. Man, it's gonna be something beautiful. It's gonna be the big, beautiful East Wing, baby, when President Trump is done with it.
I understand it, I guess, as a symbol. Democrats need to make the case, or are trying to make the case, that Trump is not just wrong, but is a very unusual president in terms of the norms he is shattering. Hearing about that a lot lately. Obviously, heard a lot of that during the first administration. Maybe you can make that case, or maybe that case is more persuasive this time around. The kind of no kings framing of that this is authoritarian and all that. What I don't like about that framing, and I guess I'm interested to hear what anybody else has to say about it. Obviously, it appeals to me as a libertarian who thinks the federal government is too big and too powerful. That is a criticism I've had for years. That is in effect a Tea Party criticism of government. And I don't know that the people at these I would love to find out that they also have this kind of principled criticism of big government or powerful government. But if it's just about Trump, then I don't know that it's really ideological in character.
Is like just doing a reno like big government.
Right.
And it's funny because Robbie, that's why Roosevelt expanded or built the second floor of the West Wing, because of the New Deal programs and expansions and the expansion of government, but it was deliberate. And that was during the Depression.
Yeah.
That's why there's a second floor of the West Wing. But I also think that Democrats get caught in this trap of constantly defending the status quo. And Trump always moves towards action, tearing things down, tearing institutions, unpopular institutions, just bringing them down and disrupting with loud, noisy change. And Democrats, yet again, defending the status quo, defending business as usual, defending the same old institutions.
Let's take a question. We have Rex. Rex, why don't you unmute yourself and get in on this conversation? Thanks for joining us. Thanks for being with us.
Yeah, Michael actually brought up something that I had never thought about. At this point, I don't know that anybody has seen the plans. In other words, they're taking down the facade or whatever they want to call it. You mentioned that your office was kind of small in the East Wing.
It wasn't small. It was like so before it was my office, and I shared my office with 3 other people. It became the communications office, the press office for the East Wing. I think Mrs. Trump used it as a gift wrapping closet, and mostly for gifts to hand out to others. She didn't use her West Wing very much. Actually, frankly, I don't think she used it. I think maybe twice, I think they said. Mrs. Obama rarely, I think her staff used it for sure, but she preferred to do her business in the residence. Jill used her office in the East Wing every single day. So we briefed her, we prepared with her there. She hosted meetings there. the cat, played around on its own on the second floor of the East Wing. But Jill used her office every single day, and
Did you think
she renovated it too while she was
did,
there.
I was going to say, did you think it was befitting of a first lady?
No, well, so I was just happy to be there at the White
Okay,
House.
well, because my next question is going to be, if this is a place that the first lady, her office, what do
Well,
you
and
think? What do you think Trump will rebuild or renovate for Melania?
but I think and I think that's the thing. I don't know if Melania has a full staff. I don't think she spends a lot of time at the White House. I think she spends a lot more time in New York. I don't think she's as staffed the way we were,
Right.
and the way Mrs. Obama was. So I don't think she had much use for it. Hillary Clinton's office was in the West Wing, on the second floor of the West Wing, so she didn't use it.
I'm surprised Hillary's office wasn't in the Oval Office.
I think it was controversial at the time that she was even over at the West
But
Wing.
I guess my point is, yeah, they're tearing it down. Obviously, you couldn't put up a ballroom and then have what do they call it? Not have it attached to the East Wing. It's got to be attached. So there's got to be some renovation. And yeah, knowing Trump and Emma, you saw my logo. I'm sure it will be every bit as nice as it was before they took it down. So
Yeah.
I don't know what
worried
everybody's
about
getting.
him. I'm not worried about
Yeah.
him desecrating property.
Yeah. I mean, so I just, when everybody started having the big to do about it, I'm going, look at what this man has built in his life.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Well, and I saw
what he actually says he feels for this country. Do you think he would diminish the East Wing?
Exactly.
well, and the
Exactly.
amount of misinformation, frankly, and I hate that word, but that's the kind of mainstream or liberal commentator word for it about what exactly is being done on social media. I mean, I've seen so many people share just like the fake picture of that the whole structure is being bulldozed by a Trump hotel type structure, and that just being like gleefully retweeted by the same people who would have been, no, this is misinformation, that's misinformation. And I get, and it's fine if they're like, well, this is how I feel about it. This is satire. I just don't like it, but it's fine. I'm not policing them at all. But again, it's people who have had such deference. They're like, no, anything that is misleading on social media is a crime. Are the very ones who I think they actually do think the whole structure is being replaced by some gold-plated building that says Trump.
Well, now that you say that, I watched Larry O'Connor today, and he had
my buddy Larry.
Yeah, I love his sense of humor. It's great. And he had a picture of the East Wing, and it was like a golden Trump tower that was like, I don't know, 40 stories high, and it said Trump on the side of it. And I'm going, I mean, I love his sense of humor.
Funny story, Larry O'Connor, he and I and Larry's wife and some other people, we used to play Dungeons and Dragons together. So that's
Really?
some info you didn't know. Yeah.
A
All right,
game I've never participated in, but
it's a lot of fun. Even your heroes do it sometimes. All right, thank you very much, Rex. We will take another question, comment, etc. from Brennan. Why don't you step right up and unmute yourself? Thanks for being with us.
Thank you for calling on me.
How you doing today?
I'm doing good. I'm just out with the dogs right now.
Yep, and nice in Golden Gate Bridge.
It was just a random background from Zoom. I'm calling in from Rhode Island.
Cool.
I get my question would be, I think people hold on to ideologies too much, and they like build their whole political philosophy on a pillar of, say, like libertarianism or democracy or things like that. And I'm wondering if you think it's much better to view these as lenses to put on. So you view a same situation with your communism lens, your capitalist lens, all these different type of lenses. I'm wondering how you guys think about that concept.
I personally, my lens is like a contact that I slept with, and it's stuck in my eye. but I'm aware that the contact is stuck to my eye. So, that's how I navigate the world and that's why I like to keep people around, like my friends here, Robby and Nina and Michael, is because I know that I have a contact lens that's stuck to my eye and I'm not going to the doctor and it's just what it is and it's there and I can be aware though that it's there and that it's perhaps warping my vision in a certain way or that my vision isn't perfectly neutral as it would have been. And that's the point of this network.
Yeah, I think it's useful. I think it can be useful to use that kind of way of thinking about things. I mean, most of us in the media who work for ideological organizations or even not explicitly ideological organizations, have deeply held views of our own that somewhat neatly fit into a political faction, and it's very rare to change your mind on big picture questions if you've kind of figured out whether you were on the left or whether you're a liberal or whether you're a libertarian or whether you're conservative. Like in college, most people who work in ideas and policy did that. So it's not like, oh, I've adopted some like leftist lens, so now I'm seeing things differently. But I think it's nevertheless useful to talk to people who don't agree with you and find out, I think I am, and everyone in participating in this is probably pretty adept at saying, well, even though this isn't my view, I know how a conservative would feel about it. I know how the left would feel about it. I know how a libertarian would feel about it. I know how a centrist moderate type person might feel about it. Although sometimes those are the hardest people to guess, people who don't neatly fit into one category or the other. And I think it can be beneficial, but at the end of the day, I think my ideology is good, and I consistently want to, advocate for those ideas, and that's how most people are most people who work in politics. Most normal people are not at all like that, is what I've found. Or maybe you guys disagree.
Are we not normal? Or is that what
We are not normal. We are a very unusual group of people.
we're abnormal?
Yeah. Yeah.
He means we're freaks.
Yeah. Well, we care about politics. Most people, it's recreational for them. We actually we are being compensated for our time talking about policy and ideas, which I'm not trying to make sound glamorous. It's not any better than, or it's probably a worse use of our time than like being a surgeon or a lawyer or something, but it's just the way it is. Yeah.
Only nerds not getting paid.
Yeah. All right. What else should we talk about today? Government shutdown is part of this conversation. Michael, do you have any senses from your contacts how much longer this thing is going to go?
Yeah, I mean, I've heard a couple things this week. I mean, mostly that we should be prepared to go up until about Thanksgiving, so it's going to last a little bit longer. I think both sides feel particularly comfortable where they are. I think that, Trump has really taken away a lot of pain points and leverage points from Democrats that they would typically use, or that the minority could typically use. There's already, the airlines, the air traffic controllers, and the TSA are all pretty much essential. I think the question will be if whether like some of their labor unions start to like, mess around and target airports and do mass call-ins, call in sick or something like that. But they aren't. Many of them don't have paychecks, so like that's going to get painful, I think. But at the same time, both sides seem very confident and comfortable about where they are. That this is and so this is probably gonna go on for a couple more weeks.
I mean,
Nina.
day 23 now, I think, or so, and the longest one was 35 days. Of course, the Democrats and or the Republicans in Congress feel comfortable, and I'm generalizing here, group chat family. I know that there's some within the ranks of both of those who don't feel comfortable about what is happening to the workers. That's what I care about. And so the comfort of these Congress members who should not be receiving a paycheck right now, who should not be allowed to get their taxpayer funded health care. Okay, as long as the government is shut down. So they can get up there and do this dance over and over
I'm
again.
fine with that. Yeah, I'm fine with that.
I mean, we do it every time.
Yeah.
Continuing resolutions, they govern by continuing resolutions. I am fed up with it, whether it's under Trump or Biden or Obama or Clinton. Can they just do their jobs?
I mean, don't they basically just have to nuke the filibuster if they don't want to keep running into this? Is kind of what which I'm not sure I'm in favor of doing, because that seems like there will be a lot more legislating, and I don't love legislating.
Yeah, libertarians don't want anything going on.
Right. But no, the
Yeah.
filibuster must go.
Yeah, but I don't think anything's going to happen either way. I mean, Nina, are you satisfied? The people I talk to on the left hate the Democratic establishment, are frustrated with the direction of the Democratic Party, are frustrated with the battles it chooses to have. Is this an example of them finally doing maybe something symbolic that I mean, it is over, it's more than symbolism, because it's over an actual issue, the healthcare subsidies. So are people on the left reasonably satisfied that at least some fit was thrown?
Not really. I mean, it's all superficial.
Yeah.
If they really, really wanted to do something, then they would have done something when President Biden, when the Democrats control both houses. I mean, that's how most people on the progressive left feel about this. And this is just all smoke and mirrors from the Democrats. And then last part, you got the very people who got us in this mess sitting up here playing in our face. So I believe that people, even who don't label themselves a progressive left, are starting to see through the facade of the Democrats.
What do you think the Democrats should do? I just am curious from Nina, because the reason why, I think that I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think everyone kind of agrees that the Democrats are the reason why this is being held up. The Republicans have tried to pass it 17 times, and they just keep saying no. I guess ostensibly they think they're trying to impress progressives by being like, no, we're going to be in opposition to the Republicans thing. And I'm curious at what do progressives want?
They don't care. The neoliberal portion of the Democratic Party could care less about what progressives.
Well, sorry, I need to asterisk that by they're performatively trying to.
Oh, okay. Well, no, I don't think, I mean, I would love to hear from you why you believe, or others on the right believe, that the Democrats own this. I mean, I have no love for neoliberals. I also don't believe that the Democrats own this. It is the same party that the Republicans said could not get anything done. And now you're here to tell me that the scaredy cat Democrats are holding up your bill when you can change this at any time. I mean, Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene talked about the nuclear option.
Yeah.
The Republicans are in control of all, both houses within the Congress and also the presidency. So I don't believe that they could legitimately, even though they're using it, blame this on the Democrats. They are in full control, right? So they have to own it.
Well, so the reason why I think that it's the Democrats' fault, and I mean, it shows how algorithm brained I am.
I don't believe that.
Everyone agrees, and it's just echoes of my own voice. Basically,
this is why I say we're not normal people.
I'm at 3 a.m, look, everyone agrees with me.
Don't do that. Do not scroll. No, put it away. You have to put your phone away and not look at it when you're it's bedtime. Don't do it. That is a cardinal rule I have for you and for everyone.
Guys, I don't know if you've noticed, but I haven't hit my vape the whole time I've been on this show because I quit, and I'm going to stick to one quitting at a time.
At a time.
Fair enough.
So I'm going to end up doing the next show from my mental institution that I'm locked in. But anyway, so the reason why I think that it's the Democrats' fault is because obviously the Republicans have 53 members in the Senate, and they, I think, have made the concessions to the Democrats already, which was proposing literally the exact same spending that Biden had.
But
so it already is. No, I was just going to say, that's what's so complexing about all of this. And in the end, first of all, I never thought I would actually agree with Nina as much as I agree with her today.
It's easy to agree with
Nina. That's the
beauty of our show. She does something hypnotic.
I'm from the completely...
I didn't expect it either, Michael, let me just say.
Yeah, because I'm pretty much from that, I guess, New Dem, I guess neoliberal, centrist, moderate, whatever, part of the Democratic Party. But this is the Biden budget. This is the Biden spending levels. All of the Democrats have already voted for the CR 3 times.
Well, that's
Three or
exactly what
four.
I'm saying. That's why I think it's the Democrats' fault.
Well,
I know, but
not-
when you hold the levers of power, what I am saying is that it
Yeah,
is kind of hard to
but-
say
and I
the
see what
Democrats
Nina-
who can't get anything done. Now you're now you're saying they're
Yeah.
strong.
So I think
They have the
Ni-
numbers for those 60 votes.
Well,
So I think-
come on now, Republicans. Are
Listen,
you in
if we had
control or aren't
60
you in
votes,
control?
we'd definitely not be shutting the government down because we'd be doing other things.
Republicans got to
be
do better at
passing
negotiating. The
things.
art of the deal. Where's the art of the deal, Emma Jo?
One thing I said one time a couple weeks ago is that, I've heard for about a year now, Republicans, Donald Trump had this big mandate. So, okay, mandate, open up the government if you can. And
There it
Democrats can take the posture of not my monkeys, not my circus, go have at it, open up the government if you have this mandate. They don't really have a mandate because if they did, they'd have 60 votes. That said, these are Biden spending levels. These are the Biden budget. Democrats have voted for this. And most importantly, this subsidy in particular, this particular faux fight that we're actually having, this subsidy passed by Democrats during COVID was never meant to be permanent. And if Democrats wanted it to be permanent, they could have made it permanent when they had both houses and the White House. And they didn't do that because it was always expected to expire because it was a COVID era enhanced subsidy. That said, I think it would probably be in the Republicans' best interest to want to keep it. However, the insurance industry, the healthcare companies, they've been begging everybody for a year. Everybody knew this was going to happen. Premiums are going up because the health insurance companies have had to comply with the law, knowing that it's going to end. And it does look a little craven on the Democrats' part that they weren't making a bigger deal about this months and months and months ago, that they kind of used it as leverage for this funding fight. And I think part of it is going
Michael,
their
you better
way.
talk that talk, baby. You better talk that talk.
Am I wrong?
I am learning.
They are playing in the face of the American people. Now, I would say we need it. That just because COVID is over does not mean that people have necessarily totally recovered. And we should have had that deep-seated conversation a long time ago. But Michael, you talking that talk. If the Democrats really wanted this, if they really, really cared.
I have not recovered and won't until vengeance is had internally. But
what's the vengeance?
In terms of COVID, no, just for COVID bad policies and everything.
Totally, yeah, vengeance. For sure.
Yes, the vengeance. Emma Jo knows what I'm talking about in terms of the COVID vengeance. There was a great clip this week of Bernie Sanders on with Jon Stewart, kind of talking about this. And Jon Stewart actually, I thought unusually is the wrong word because he's an interesting guy, he's an interesting thinker, but some strong pushback to Bernie Sanders, who he clearly likes and agrees with in a lot of context, being like, this is essentially going to take the form of just more money for insurance companies. Our healthcare system is so bad, and we've talked about it, the four of us with Dan instead of Michael, and maybe with Amber instead of Emma Jo. The system is just so bad, and people hate it so much. And a subsidy here, a new plan here, it doesn't. More money into the system does not translate to better or more efficient or cheaper care for anyone. Nobody believes that it will, right? There's not an American on earth who thinks that tinkering with the levers of the healthcare system is going to improve the quality of care or cheapen the cost, right? It's going to be someone in the process is going to make slightly more money or slightly less money. It still gets passed on to everyone in some complicated way they don't understand, and it's still very, very broken. And if that's the hill you're going to die on to, effectively subsidize insurance companies further, is that really in accordance with your vision? Is what Jon Stewart put to Bernie Sanders.
Yeah, we're just
Sanders
building
was
on
yeah, that's
sand.
bad.
I mean, we're building on sand. However, we do have a crisis in this country when it comes to the commodification of healthcare, and we're going to have to deal with it. Our health outcomes are not better. They're actually worse than other nations who have more universal types of healthcare. So what is this? And there is no doubt that there were some good things to the ACA. Certainly parents being able to keep their children on until they were 26. I guess we said the hell with you once you turn 27. I mean, all of that stuff seems kind of bizarre to me. Not allowing the insurance
I would
companies.
kick him off at like 18, but go ahead.
Oh my God, Robbie.
Go get jobs.
I would keep them on till they were 40. So we're both
my
at that
God.
extreme. Mothers would do that.
Yeah.
But the pre-existing condition, you know, all America, well, I won't say all, but the majority of Americans believe that that was the right thing to do. But ultimately, continuing to build on sand makes no sense to me.
Yeah.
Not to let the
let's-
Republicans off the hook completely, because they're not being very intellectually honest when their excuse is Democrats want to fund illegal immigration through
Oh, true that, Michael.
healthcare. I mean, that
True that.
was law. That was settled law
Yeah.
hour one.
It's a lie,
15
actually.
years ago.
Right.
And what they're referring to is about emergency services in the emergency room, because no doctor in America will
That's
ever
right.
deny anyone service. And so really Republicans are trying to punish doctors for, you know,
And
performing care.
nor should a doctor be in the business of denying another human being. At that point, we're talking about human beings.
Yeah.
Care. So I'm glad you brought that up, Michael.
Yeah,
But never let the truth get in the way of a good story.
Well, right, and actually, what they do in the CR, or what they would like to do, is make that person. I think how they get around some of the spending, or how they're trying to save money, is by considering that person you're talking about half a person. So they don't even get.
Oh, Michael. Oh.
No, but they
Oh.
don't even get if they consider our CR funding illegal or providing healthcare for illegal immigrants. They're not taking it away either. They're not stopping it. They're just reducing it to less of a person.
The 3/5 clause is coming to my mind in the Constitution right now.
Everybody should be clear about that.
It's not totally equal. Don't get me wrong, because to me, there's nothing equal
Not
to chattel
equal,
slavery.
Nina.
But that is
Come on.
ridiculous.
Nina,
Emma Joe.
We're talking about Nina. We're talking
Emma Joe.
We're talking about illegal aliens, not
Emma Joe.
Americans.
At the point that somebody goes to the emergency room, though.
I agree with you, and God forbid you would ever have somebody in an emergency.
At the point that's the only way they can get that. They don't get. I mean, we don't subsidize undocumented citizens. It's against the law.
This is what the mandate was all about 15 years ago. This was settled. The Obamacare mandate.
We
That's why we have it.
We do. We absolutely do. And not only that, but that's the thing is, because this exists, emergencies, so you can anticipate an emergency situation and end up in the United States, which is exactly why the Republicans are really worried about this. For example, being in labor. And the issue is for them that they want to reduce pull factors, and they are going after each and every one. They're not only trying to dissuade people from coming here illegally, but they're also trying to encourage people to leave on their own, self-deport. So yes, of course, they're going through each and every one of these things. They're not trying to penalize doctors. And because of the Hippocratic Oath, doctors will never not serve somebody who comes in. If you come in and you happen to be in the United States and you're having a heart attack and you go into the emergency room, you will get served. Then that's going to have to be worked out, though. The billing is going to have to be worked out between the hospital and I don't even know what. Question. But the doctor is not going to not get paid. And the doctor's also not going to not serve them.
That's right. That's right. But Republicans are trying to scare people into thinking that what you just talked about is the opening for Democrats, is why Democrats are trying to provide healthcare for illegal immigrants. They're only using the Hippocratic Oath as a way to scare people into thinking that Democrats want to do that, when there's no way it doesn't matter whether you're an illegal immigrant or you're just don't have insurance at all and you are a United States citizen. They still have to perform their Hippocratic Oath, right?
Yeah, and the legal status of these people is a problem for for labor reasons, for healthcare reasons, which is why although I'm totally alone in wanting this, is a different immigration system where it's easier for people to come here legally so that we get fewer people coming here illegally of a dubious status who are then, because they're illegal, they don't get certain statuses. And so then people feel like, well, they're competing for their jobs unfairly because you don't have to pay them and like, that's not fair. Well, we could fix that by having them be able to come here legally. We don't know what their healthcare system is or how much what they get to take advantage of or what taxes they're paying. And they don't even know. And if it was more legally done immigration, we wouldn't have any of these problems. But no one wants to touch that issue, beyond the kind of border security part. That too, like we wouldn't have as much, I believe, we wouldn't have as much destabilization at the border from people, swarming into the country through unsafe means for them and means that contribute to chaos down there for people who live in those communities and border security and all that. They wouldn't take that route if some different route was available to them. So that's what I would like.
They also wouldn't take that route if they had absolutely no recourse, no ability to navigate society, and no rights if they came illegally.
I don't think that's true. I think they would. I think they would come in.
Make it pretty easy to be here illegally.
Well, the harder we make it, the more we
Tighten that
create
up.
a flourishing underground black market economy and smuggling people into this country and keeping them here. If it was a matter of tougher enforcement, I absolutely don't believe that we would. I mean, obviously,
We're doing
most
it
people
right
here
now and they're
legally
leaving.
do not come over the border. They come here and overstay on some visa. But
Right,
And we're lightly brushing this issue as far as I'm concerned, the Trump administration, and because that's just me. We are lightly touching the issue and people are bouncing. They don't want to know what happens when Stephen Miller digs in a little bit more. That absolutely
I don't want to know. You're right.
I want to know. I'm sorry. It is true. You take away incentives and people just ditch.
I mean, the push factors, we can have a whole historic conversation about the destabilization of other people's communities and other countries that the United States and other Western nations have their hands in. It does not mean, and everybody is not waiting saying, oh my God, I might have a heart attack today. Let me get on over across that border so I can have my heart attack in the United States of America. That is not happening. And Robby, I agree with the point. You trying to take away, these politicians wouldn't have a job hardly if they did what you're recommending, which is to have a comprehensive plan for immigration reform that many presidents and many Congresses have absolutely failed to do. But what they should not do, either one of them, is lie about it. The Republicans should stop lying, saying that illegal immigrants, which I call undocumented folks, are running away with health care. If the Republicans care so much about Americans having health care, then let's have that conversation. Let's do a whole American first universal health care conversation. I'm down for that. But you cannot have it both ways. And the Democrats are trying to have it both ways, and so are the Republicans. But I just do not believe putting those pressure points on doctors like that. And then, I don't know if you know that in some states, even if we use abortion by way of example, even in my state, when I was in the legislature and my Republican colleagues trying to push bills to jail doctors if they made the health of a mother decision on abortion. So there are places where the Republicans will go to the extreme on this and penalize doctors for doing what doctors were trained to do and ought to be able to do.
I'm not saying, I don't know about that case and the abortion.
Oh no,
something else.
many legislators.
I believe you. And we've seen it. But that's something else. Like, I don't see these two instances linked at all. I think that they're not trying to penalize doctors. They're trying to just dissuade people from coming here illegally and thinking that they can use American resources and it's fine. It's not fine. It's actually not fine at all. You can't go to the doctor and walk out.
Let's get another community member comment. Lance, welcome to the program. Why don't you step right on up and unmute? Thanks for being with us. We appreciate it.
Good to be here. Thank you. So I was actually on your first show, your first ever show, when you started the group chat. So
Oh,
I'm
fantastic.
glad.
Thank you.
Yeah, and so let me like address this compartmentally. Okay, so this I'm going to start to address the first part to you, Robby. So like the first time I had the chance to come on the show, I asked the question, and that was, are corporations people? Your answer was, of course, yes. And I was like, I understand that, but my broad view is that corporations are getting too much. We're giving too many benefits to too many benefits to corporations and not getting enough benefits in return. And like objectively affect. Forget the morality of it or whatever. That's just objectively happening, and society is worse off as a result. And take Texas, for example. I would not be opposed to like raising a corporate tax or putting an energy tax into place so people would not freeze to death in their houses. Like, I just would not be against that. You know, the purpose of government is to protect life, liberty, and property foremost. So I think you can make an argument that society has to go on some sort of way, and there could be other trade-offs. Now, there could be other trade-offs in the long run, but I think like in the short term, their lives literally at stake. And I'm not without criticism towards everybody else. So, and please don't hesitate to come back at me if you like feel like I've said something that's illegitimate. I feel like the Democratic Party, I think like corporatism has failed a whole as America, both neoliberalism and neoconservatism. And I would say to people who consider themselves on the left in this panel, the Democratic Party never got serious about passing a national health insurance program, because it's really turned between, how would I say, you abandoned progressive liberalism in favor of liberal progressivism. So liberal is the noun in one and progressive is the noun in the other. And so you switch that around. And so, you switch that by and large around.
Yeah.
And
well, let's address that.
Moved away from, you've tried to you view everything as so universally, and people say they're in favor of the Norwegian model and stuff like that, but Norway has a sovereign wealth fund, and people say, well, Trump's trying to do that, that's a sign of authoritarianism. Or and also what else? They also pay like $1 trillion to the EU so they can close the borders, because their social systems do in fact get the social welfare programs do kind of get overrun, because there's a massive influx of immigrants to the country.
Well, thank you.
Now, I know you're not in favor of that, so you have that benefit. You're like, well, if we got rid of all these social welfare programs, there wouldn't be the incentives of the immigrants to come here. That is a fair point, but also they're hijacking the visa system as it already is, and I'm kind of disappointed that Trump hasn't re-adjudicated that, because he got rid of the
let's try to address some of that. What I would say to the answer I gave you on corporate, look, if we get to the point where you were arguing that there's so little government that people who need some kind of subsidy to keep their heat running, I will have already won. Like, we're so far apart from my ideal system or my ideal level of government spending or ideal size of government that I don't like. At the end of the day, would I, fight every last welfare program? No. Would I fight every No. We're not even close to that, so it's beside the point. I certainly, some level of taxation is okay. The thing about corporations, it's just like, well, since it is literally, I'm sure, and if corporations get special tax break, I don't want them to get advantages into the system that you wouldn't get if you just had a collection of people that were not called a corporation. But why don't I turn it over to the lefty here? To address
her.
the cardinal
Who's
sin.
the lefty here?
That's
Michael,
you, Nina.
talking about you?
I think it's Nina. I think he's talking about you.
Well, I mean, in 1944, right, President FDR talked about the Economic Bill of Rights. He was very clear that there is really no true freedom without economic freedom. He also expressed the fact that the Bill of Rights as written was inadequate to lift up the American people. Now, he was no lefty. He's somebody that believed that he saved capitalism. But in that understanding, we are still right now in that very moment. So we have presidents, not just this president. I mean, our colleagues in the Congress can easily come together to make war. We just gave Argentina how many billions of dollars? But yet we are haggling over whether or not government.
I didn't support that, by the way.
I know you did, Robbie. I know you would never support anything like that. But my point is, this nation can always come up with money for war, but they cannot. But then turn their backs on the needs of the American people and what domestic tranquility is really about. So why wouldn't we look at what FDR was talking about in the mid 1940s about the responsibility of this nation, a social contract in this nation? That's how I feel about it. So y'all can call. I'm a humanitarian, Robbie. I ain't a lefty though.
Well, I mean, I'm a humanitarian. Well,
oh, you not in what world?
I'm a humanitarian.
Well, because I think that generally having free market, you talk about economic freedom. To me, that means economic freedom from government intervention, a system that tends to result in much greater material standards of living and has been associated in the last 200 years with.
But for whom? I mean, if I can't make a living wage,
for the people who are no longer starving,
if
and
I don't have a
starving
living
under
wage,
feudalism.
Robbie, if I don't make a living wage.
Yeah, but every other system prior to capitalism or free markets or free trade had much greater suffering and poverty, and every alternative, more socialist system has produced
there are no perfect
plus
systems.
Political repression.
I mean, I want you to hear me out. There are no perfect systems because people are imperfect. So I'm not saying they're perfect systems, but can we try to get to a place where we have living wages in this country, where people are not putting insulin on credit cards, where cancer does not cancel you out from being able to get life insurance? I thought that ain't too much to ask, is it, Robbie? Is that too much?
I'm open to hearing plans to make those things. But I mean, the insulin is part of the patent scheme is way too aggressive, and I would.
But the creators of insulin, right? Am I right? They never wanted it to be.
Bidenomics. We created Medicare negotiation.
Yeah, and I support that. I have no problem with that. I think the government it doesn't make sense to subsidize something and exercise no control over what the price is going to be paid. So I had no problem with that. I asked libertarian people, I'm like, explain to me why I should be against this. And everyone I talked to said, I don't think we're against this. So fine.
Well, look,
I understand how we just had the last conversation and we haven't discussed at all the importation of low-skilled labor and how that may influence making enough to reach the cost of living.
Is that why the minimum wage is still $7.25?
Guarantee you the minimum wage would organically raise if you could not find the amount of people it takes to make it that low.
So we leaving it to
Trump is bringing back all of the manufacturing back to the United States, and I fully expect every college and master's degree educated young professional to be going to work in those factories, like he said.
Yeah.
Right?
I'm with you on this one, Michael. As you know, I think it's ludicrous.
I mean, honestly, in AI times, they may.
Oh. Yeah,
high times the white collar kids are gonna be looking for factory jobs.
All right, look, I'm from the Lehigh Valley, Bethlehem, Pennsylvania, the home of Bethlehem Steel. It's now a Sands casino, and generations of factory workers had to reassimilate and sort of readjust or go back to school. I mean, like that was just a part of that's why Bidenomics was such a bad message, because in places like one of two counties in Pennsylvania that was ground zero and flipping from Obama to Trump to Biden back to Trump where I'm from, Reaganomics was really blamed for a lot of the factory closings and a lot of the end of like Bethlehem Steel, the biggest employer in that state. So I was always mystified by why Biden would want to, tag his name to an economic message in places like steel country that weren't feeling all great. That said, I'm a capitalist, so I believe in free markets. Going back to the hospital question, the healthcare coverage, it's just not popular in the silent majority of Democrats don't believe that the other systems would make healthcare better. It might make it more affordable, but that wouldn't make the care that we have, that's the envy of the world, better. And I think that's why there was never really, even Obama didn't even barely let us know what he was for, first of all. But when he did, it wasn't for universal or for
Well, I
Medicaid.
certainly supported President Obama, but I don't think he is necessarily the measure. The measure are the people in this country who the majority of the polling shows that the American people are at a position because of their suffering that they would like to see the government take a bigger role in providing health care. Now, let's debate what that is, but let's not do nothing at all. And we're absolutely allowing these industries to take over.
Conditions was the biggest step in 50 years. Now, I agree with you.
It was what was?
Eliminating pre-existing conditions.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Obamacare didn't make it more affordable. It made it more accessible. And that was a huge, huge start.
Yeah, but how long is it going to take? Because we've been debating this even before any of us on here were even born. So what is it going to take, hegemonic nation known as the United States of America? Other countries have it.
I don't know if there's an actual will. There might be a will in circles and certain populist small circles to have a universal or government-funded healthcare. I don't think that's the case nationally.
Well, Michael, are we asking the people who are suffering, though, or are we just talking to people in Congress who get taxpayer health care?
But there's kind of something that nobody's ever talked about, and I find nobody in America ever talks about this. It's like you guys are so oblivious, and this is where I appreciate my Canadian upbringing, because I grew up in a country that does have socialized medicine, which, by the way, the facilities are disgusting. Granted, they are free, but only if you survive for long enough to get the service. Like literally, and you're mad bribing. My dad had cancer, and I mean, I don't want to blow up his spot, but it's not just like you wait in line and wait your turn when you're in a life and death situation. And that's aside from the fact that the central point is those countries only survive in those systems because America just pays for the R&D, which is kind of a big expense. And so first of all, it's barely affordable even for small countries like Canada, or, I know that Bernie and AOC often talk about the Western European nations that have it. And you're talking about countries that are like 10% of the size of America, first of all. Second of all, those countries are only able to sort of kind of scrape together their healthcare system because A, they don't have a military, really. And B, they also don't have to pay for research and development. You are. Haha.
And they're homogenous states where everyone's related to each other and they don't mind paying for each other's healthcare to some degree because they have total social cohesion is the other part of it.
So let's just keep
up until recently. But yeah, but Rich, just more importantly, it's like there's so much subsidizing that the US does of other countries that do this. And if the US just takes away the subsidizing of that subsidy, not only are you going to pull, I think, the pin out of all of these Western countries that do this, but you're going to pull the pin out of yourself without thinking about it.
We live in a world, right? The world is smaller. We are in a world. It is not just the United States of America. So since these leaders are really good at getting together to make war, how about we get together and solve this? I believe that this can be solved.
Yeah, we can get together. We have gotten together and solved it. You're just not at the table. You're paying for the R&D.
No, we have not solved it. We absolutely have not solved it. And just as there are I trust you when you say long lines and things are not perfect. Things are not perfect here either. Folks a lot of folks don't get health care either until they are old enough to get Medicare, or they're going through the emergency room to do it.
Let's give our guest host Michael the last word today, and then we got to run.
Well, I think that was a great discussion, and I'm going to leave it at that. I think all points of view have been represented.
Well, that's what's so great about our show. There were points where I was agreeing with you, Michael. There was points where I was agreeing with Nina. There were points where I was furiously disagreeing with Emma Jo, but at the end, I'm agreeing with her
That's every
wholeheartedly. So
show.
it's just, it's always fun. Thank you all, community members, for making your voices heard as well. And we will be back next week, Thursday, same time, with another great topic. See you then. Thanks so much.